Hey y'all, welcome to Curry Gumbo, the podcast where Nicole and Ashley discuss Black film and TV. Justice is in mourning. Lucky is reevaluating his life, but the two still find a way to fall from one another. Although rocky in the beginning, their love story is a classic one. Today, we are diving into John Singleton's 1993 film, Poetic Justice. Enjoy the show. About Regina King is she was just in conversation with Issa Rae about this. I think she's royalty, she's film royalty, she is certainly Absolutely. Black royalty, and I think
TV
she
royalty
is
too.
LA royalty. Like when you think of prominent LA film, Friday, Boys in the Hood, Poetic Justice. She's it. She
nailed that character so well.
Listen, I was never more, I loved her, but she also got on my nerves. I mean, she was the epitome of that friend who you have to mother because they don't have their shit together right now.
Wait, so let's go through the rest of the cast. We have Tupac and Joe Torre and Q-Tip and Tone Loc, Jennifer Lewis, Maya Angelou is in here. Michael Rappaport. Okay. Candy Alexander.
Yeah.
I know her best as Olivia Pope's mom. Yvette Wilson, who was on Moesha, makes an appearance. Maia Campbell makes an appearance. It starts with two white people having a romantic dinner. Mm-hmm. And it's been a minute since I've seen this whole movie. And I don't even know if I saw this whole movie before because I remember clips, but there are a lot of scenes I just did not remember.
I did not remember the opening at all.
I didn't. So I'm looking at this opening. I'm like, what is this? Like, what is going on here?
Why is Billy Zane? Why is he in this movie?
And then we realized that they are at a drive-in movie theater. It's Janet Jackson, whose character is Justice. Okay, so Justice is a poet, hence Poetic Justice. Mm-hmm. And she's with her boyfriend, Q-Tip, and they are having a date at the drive-in movie.
Why are we inside of a film first?
Just to get in her head. Because she seemed like the only one who was a little bit into the movie. Nobody at the drive-in movie was watching this movie.
Oh, everybody was getting their lovemaking on.
And even Q-Tip, he was like trying to get in with Janet. And Janet was just, kind of playing coy a little bit at first. But I guess to see what type of person Janet is, like she was probably the only one that watched this movie.
When I watched Poetic Justice, I liked Justice's home, but every other place it was either burned down. It looked like a city that did not get much funding.
I was thinking about John Singleton's portrayal. I was going to bring this up later. His portrayal of South Central LA and how Issa Rae, how she's kind of trying to clean up that image.
Yes.
Because for a minute in the 90s, and I wrote this down, like trying to figure out, was John Singleton's portrayal of South Central, was it helpful or hurtful? Mm-hmm. Because for me, someone who's never, I've been to California one time, but growing, like I don't know anything about California or their neighborhoods. And looking at it, you would think, oh my gosh, this is horrible. Mm-hmm. Everyone's in a gang and they're going to have drive-bys and get shot. And even as a Black person, it's like, is this LA? I'm going to stay in my neighborhood because it ain't that. Like, it ain't perfect, but it ain't that. She really did a good job of cleaning up the stereotype that someone who's not from LA was thinking, oh, they're just gangbangers and it's just bad over there.
Yes.
And when Issa, as someone who grew up most of her life in LA and was not she didn't live that life. Even like I've seen many of interviews where she was like, even the episode of Insecure, where her and Nathan did that daytime walk around the neighborhoods. I'm like, oh, this is, my old parents' house. She's saying that was partly true.
It's, sometimes when you go to a film and you're in an escape, you're in a fantasy world. Can you imagine if they were watching a film with Black people there? It's like, oh my goodness, even the idea of looking up, I'm looking up and seeing like something that can be me, but they don't have that. The people who own the drive-in movie theater are not Black. They go to places, no one is owning anything. So it just feels like just an added layer of oppression. Like it feels like
the
the right thing. It feels like do the right thing in the Hall of Fame or in the Wall of Fame.
Yeah.
At Sal's Pizzeria. Like, what are Black people at? Why can't we watch a Black movie? Even if we ain't paying attention to this movie because we just came here because we need another place to fuck. Like, what? Why can't this
be a Black movie on the film?
Yeah.
On the screen? I will say, back to the neighborhoods in the movie, I do believe this was after the LA riots. Mm-hmm. So I think all of those rundown places was part of that history. So we are seeing the aftermath of the LA riots. I just thought about that because at first I was like, why are these, like, what's going on in here? So I do think that was probably part of it. And it's important to capture that part of history.
Mm-hmm. So I'm sorry I cut you off. So Q-Tip is trying to get baby girl in that back seat.
Yes. And Justice tells him to go buy her some popcorn and candy because apparently she's really into this movie. Mm-hmm. And he does. And while he's there, some guys notice him and, they say that I guess he has some type of beef with them one guy is telling the other guy, ain't that the dude? And he's like, no. He's like, yes, it is. It is the dude. It is that dude. Look at his face. Look at his face. So he's like, this is the dude that we need to get. Yeah. So Q-Tip gets back to his car, but then we see a gun.
Markel.
Oh, Markel. I'm sorry.
See, you is disrespecting Markel.
I was like, girl.
That is Markel. Q-Tip, his fine ass.
And so we see a gun and Q-Tip, Markel gets shot.
Okay.
In front of Justice.
Right in front of Justice, which has to be one of the most traumatizing things to see anyone be murdered in that way. I can't imagine like just the science behind that, having someone being shot in point blank
in front of you. Yeah.
Right in front of you. If that were anybody, that would have been traumatizing. But for that to be like one of the great loves of your life, that is very difficult. Markel notices these men. He comes back to the car and says, I think I saw them dudes I had beef with in the mall. But that doesn't, because I think, but this is all in hindsight, right? Because I already know what's going to happen. I feel like if I were Justice, I would, let's get up out of here. Let's go.
Well, maybe I guess he didn't really elaborate on how deep this beef was, or he probably didn't think he was going to get killed that night.
He didn't feel nervous to you? He felt nervous to me.
Maybe.
Do you think there's a little bit of guilt that Justice is feeling?
Probably. She was like, why did I ask him to go get the popcorn? If he never got the popcorn, they would have never saw him.
I'm sure every single scenario went through her head about how that night could have been different. Why did I want to watch that movie? Right. Why couldn't I have just gone in the back seat with him? We wouldn't even be, he would still be here.
Right.
Why did we go to that drive-in movie in the first place? Like,
is that have you ever been to a drive-in?
I've gone, but I've never been in the appropriate context, because I went with my family.
You never been on a date?
I've never been on a date. I really want somebody to take me to a drive-in movie. I want to do that so bad. And now that's the appropriate way to go with COVID.
Yeah. No, I'm saying, I know now there aren't that many drive-in movies. I don't know how many drive-in movies how many there were back in the 90s, if that was like the only one in their in their radius or whatever. So that's probably there's probably not another one that they could have gone to.
Yeah. And also there is the assumption that if you saw them at the mall, more than likely you would have run into these people again.
Yeah, y'all in the same
we all live in the
neighborhood.
same city. We're gonna see each other.
So this is how the movie opens. Justice loses the love of her life in a tragedy, and she's kind of bummed about it. They mentioned she works at this hair salon, and the lady at the hair salon, the owner, kind of teases her like, "Oh, girl, you know, you need a man. You've been single for too long."
Mm-hmm.
And she's just like, "No, I don't need no man. I'm fine. What's wrong with being single?" Like, she's just not dating anybody. She only has black clothes. She's just into writing her poetry. Like, she
ain't gave them braids a touch up.
No, like, she's just not interested in any man or trying to be cute or nothing.
Mm-hmm.
The first time she meets Tupac, aka Lucky. Lucky, he's a mailman.
Come on, pension.
And he's part of the union, because he mentioned that later on.
Come on. Stability.
So Lucky
he do live with his mama though, but go ahead.
Well, he paid the bills.
Oh, there you go.
He paid the bills. So Lucky's delivering mail to the hair salon, and that's when he sees Justice for the first time, and he's trying to holler at her, but Justice is like, "Boy, bye." And
well, he's been seeing her, because remember, he's like, "How come every time I come in here, you be looking so mean?" Yes. So they have, like, even before this moment, they have a history, and she has this personality that people are assuming, or people have been making assumptions about her personality based on the way she looks and carries herself.
She looks like she just doesn't want to be bothered.
Do you think that's rude?
To assume that, like, on her part or other people's part?
On her part. Do you think she comes off as rude, and do you think that she is rude?
I don't think she's rude. I just think she doesn't want to be bothered. She wasn't disrespectful to Lucky at first. She was like, he just got the mail. She got the stamps. It was just a simple transaction. Like, she wasn't super personal, like, "Oh, hi, how are you? How's your mom?" Like, she wasn't doing any of that. But I don't know if she needs to.
I think that's fair to say. I don't think that he had the right to say you look mean, because I don't think that's any of his business. And I don't think this is a thing, right? Men are always like, "Why you ain't smiling? Like, why you not?" And I think there's a larger conversation that has been happening about why that's inappropriate and what women owe men, especially Black women. However, I think that, and this is not just with men that she does this with, it seems like it's with anybody. But when he came in, it seemed like you didn't even offer him eye contact. And I'm the mailman, and I feel like, I think that there is a certain level of decency that is owed to people, even if you don't know them, and even if they are not close to you.
Her customer service skills weren't
horrible.
Great.
Absolutely horrible. And I'm like, damn, like, what did he do to you to make you not even give him eye contact? Now when he started with the, "Why you always looking so mean?" Now after that point, you can do whatever you want to do, because you coming at me all the way wrong. But damn, like, you looking these stamps, like, you can't even give the brother eye contact, even though eye contact doesn't necessarily equate to attention. I'm just saying, like, I don't know. It doesn't feel performative. It feels real. I don't know. But maybe that's me being like a little hotep-ish, but go ahead.
Maybe she sees him all the time. He probably, as a mailman, he probably comes there every day. I'm sure they get mail every day at the salon.
That's true. That's
so it's like, true. Oh, it's the mailman. Hey, what's up? Bills go over here. Have a nice day.
Yeah, you're right.
Tone Loc and Tupac's relationship with.
I was so stressed out.
So at first, like, this was another scene I didn't really remember, because when I didn't know Tone Loc's and Tupac's relationship, because it seemed like they were buddy or friends, or just like know each other in the neighborhood. But then when Tone Loc was like, "Oh, your daughter calls me daddy," I'm like, okay, is this his ex's new boyfriend or something? But then they were still like too friendly for it to be the new guy. So I'm like, what kind of relationship is this? Is this like the kid's uncle or whatever? But then we find out they both have a kid by the same woman. I was just,
it was heavy. It was very complicated. It was because when you see him, first of all, Lucky had kind of just had it out with his manager, because his manager wants him to deliver to a woman who has a pit bull, and he also has some downtime with Chicago, because he's talking to Chicago about the drive that they're about to do to Oakland, talking about his cousin, saying like, okay, we got to go to Oakland anyway for this run. Things are going to be good. He's joking with the Mexican worker as well. And I do believe he is Mexican from Mexico, but
that's typical. Like, California has a large Mexican population.
Yeah. And even though the jokes were racist on everybody's part, like everybody was like, this is racist as hell.
Go eat your cornbread and sweet potatoes.
Right. It was like basketball playing motherfucker. Like, what? So there's a lot of like up and down. Things are, things with the boss are stressful, but I'm with Chicago, I'm chilling. Now when I'm with Tone Loc, I'm like, is this a cut? No, even before he sees Tone Loc, he sees the car full of men who say it's our mission. They about to go kill somebody, which is very, you can tell that Lucky is like, that's a bad idea what y'all about to go do, but hey,
I'm not about to try.
It's not my business, and I can't do anything about that. It's going to take so much energy from me to stop y'all from doing that, and it could go so left so fast. So let me just, hey, see ya, bye.
I'm not in it. I ain't in not that. My business.
Glad y'all ain't after me. Bye.
Exactly.
And then you go over to Tone Loc. Tone Loc's so motherfucking cool, but I love his voice. Who doesn't?
I heard his voice before they even showed him. He said something, and I was like, Tone Loc in this movie too?
Tone Loc. I hope his voice is insured. Okay.
Exactly. And
but
them vocal cords better have
money insurance. But when you see him and he's sitting down, there is a level of comfort. At first I'm like, is this an older cousin? I don't think that's his brother, but is this an uncle? Is this
a friend or something?
Like a family friend? Is this his friend, a neighborhood friend?
Neighborhood friend, yeah.
I knew, and I knew that when I saw him sitting down in the middle of the day, I'm like, oh, he's dealing something. That's just what this is. And so when he says your daughter calls me daddy anyway, I'm like, oh, that's the stepfather, and they're just real cool. This is wonderful. You know what I'm saying?
Yes, but I was just like, it's one thing to be cordial. I think it's very rare to be best friend. Well, be like, I don't think they're best friends, but just
I don't think they loved her. They didn't love her. So there was no competition there. And also,
and them kids look the same age. I'm like,
they knew what was
up. A year apart.
But why do you think Tone Loc said that? Because there's a little like, there's always going to be competition between us. Yeah, like,
because even before that, they were talking. Lucky was talking about buying his daughter clothes. He's like, oh, we can go to like the something. Who was it? Him or Tone Loc was like, oh, just go to the Slosh and Swap meet or go to the mall to get her clothes. And Lucky was like, nah, I really just want to, like take a shopping. And Tone Loc was like, I can do it. Like, you ain't gotta worry about that. I got it.
Why would you say that?
Lucky was
Why would you say that?
And that's when he said, she calls me daddy anyway, so I might as well just take her shopping too.
There was a little bit of a, you're absent, you're not here all the time.
I don't think it was that. I think it was more, I have more money than you. So,
because I can see a person saying that, somebody who's a street pharmacist saying that to a postal worker.
Because I didn't get the vibe that Lucky was an absent dad. Because we saw him on his break go to his daughter. So I think he probably, depending on his hours he works, he can't be there all day like Tone Loc can. But on his breaks, on his day off, you know, when he has the time, he's going to go see his daughter. But because of Tone Loc's profession, he can just chill all day and just go upstairs whenever he wants to. And I think it was more of, you know, I mean, if you ain't got it, you know, if you ain't got it, just let me know. I can do it for you. Yeah.
But because he makes that daddy comment, it doesn't feel like, this is me looking out for you. This is me being a friend to you. This is me being big brother to you. No, this is me.
Shady. It was so shady.
This is me, you know, telling you my dick is bigger than yours.
If you can't take care of your daughter,
I got it.
I can take care of her for you. Don't worry about it.
Their mother comes out, and the way they talk to her is just, I don't like it. I don't like it. I don't care what she in there doing. I don't like that.
I have a bone to pick with how John Singleton is portraying women in this movie.
They addicts, girl. Or they
drunk.
Or they the later. Materialistic salon owner.
Yes, it's like because we find out that the mother is an addict.
Yeah.
And so they have a problem. And, you know, Lucky's like, well, I'm gonna take my daughter and leave. And well, first they fight. Well, so then Lucky sees some drug paraphernalia like in the living room, and he goes to the woman's bedroom to confront her, and she's with another man. And then he's just like,
she got her 2 baby daddies. Because we got the pause. Because I'm thinking, what is her relationship with Tone Loc?
That's her son's father.
But why you there? Oh. You just there, deal? Like, why are you there? You saying this girl calls me daddy. So I'm thinking you around the lot. So what are y'all together? Are y'all not together?
Well, now we can define what does together mean.
We absolutely can. Because I feel like there's a lot that goes unsaid in this film that's brought to you in subtle ways. The same thing with the gay stylist, and when he gets that phone call and it seems very serious, and it's like, what's going on? But they never tell us what news he got, and we can make assumptions about what was happening with gay men in the 90s. Like, we can make assumptions, but I don't want to do that. Now I can make assumptions about Tone Loc's relationship with this woman and how he's using this woman. What is he like? Does that woman work for you? What's going on with this? What's happening is what I want.
Is she your customer?
Is she your customer? And also, is she your employee? Is she like, what is he doing with this? What is she doing in the room with this guy? With Tone Loc look like somebody you ain't about to mess with. So why would I have another man in here when he's in here? That don't make sense to me.
Well, I took it as that's not her man. Well, she even said it because when she came out, then she was like, that's your daughter, that's your son. I'm doing me, something like that.
Then why he there?
Because he probably just be chilling.
All right. I know he worked there.
They all get into a fight. To Lucky and Tone Loc beating up this new guy that is with the mother of their children. And then Tupac grabs his daughter Keisha and is like, you know, I'm taking her to my mom's house.
I felt so bad for the son.
He was like, I want to go too.
I was about to be balling.
Tone Loc just leaves. I'm like, you can't take your son to your mama's house or somewhere? You don't
I
have an
didn't see
auntie?
Tone Loc leave. I thought he stayed there. Lucky left.
But that Tone Loc went back outside. He went back outside.
He went back outside. To me, that I read that as he ain't going nowhere. He about to stay there and work. Like what happened don't really bother him. You know that girl doing drugs. Like you said, you probably selling it to her. But okay.
It was a hot mess. It was very sad to see. And like I said, portrayal of women in this film kind of rubbed me the wrong way. I feel like the women got it harder than the men.
There are no good men.
I mean, Lucky.
Chicago is trash.
Chicago's trash. When it comes to drugs and alcohol, it was like, oh, you're an addict, you're an alcoholic.
Yeah.
And then when Justice was confronting Isha later on about her drinking, she was like, just like my mama had the same thing. So it's like, I got 2 alcoholic women and a drug addict woman. It just seemed like, okay, so only women abuse drugs and alcohol in this film. Justice is going to Oakland for a hair show. Lucky, his job working at the post office, they're required to make a trip up to Oakland every once in a while. So Lucky and Chicago are taking the truck to Oakland. Lucky has a cousin who lives in Oakland who is doing music, and Lucky's trying to get into music. So he's like, when he gets to Oakland, he wants to meet up with his cousin. Isha is riding along with Chicago because she tells Justice, she was like, hey, Chicago, they take the mail truck to Oakland, and sometimes I ride with them, and you should come with us. Justice is like, no, I will not. She will drive to Oakland on her own. But on the day of her trip, her car doesn't start. So she has no choice but to call Isha and is like, hey, girl, I need a ride. So the 4 of them, Justice, Isha, Lucky, and Chicago are in this mail truck on this road trip to Oakland.
Girl, you knew that car wasn't making it to Oakland. Now, I'm sorry, nah. You ain't go get it looked at. You ain't go get no diagnostic. LA to Oakland ain't no cute trip.
No, it's far.
There ain't no cute trip. Like,
that's like, 8 hours?
Baby, it ain't 30 minutes. It ain't up the street. You knew that car was not making it to Oakland. And I'm trying to figure out why you don't know that your cat is also going to die. All you did was leave some trail mix, you know what I'm saying, in the bowl, and the other cats came, so they gonna eat up the food. What your cat gonna eat tomorrow? And where the water? Like, cats are very self-sufficient, and I'm like, maybe this is an outside cat, so that cat gonna be all right. But I'm just trying to understand the planning. I didn't get it. That didn't make sense to me.
Oakland to LA is 5 hours and 47 minutes.
You knew that car, that little putt-putt wasn't getting you there. You knew that. I'm sorry.
So the 4 are on this road trip. And, this is where much of the movie takes place, just driving up and down California and seeing different neighborhoods. They stop at a family reunion, at a Black family reunion. They kind of finagle their way in it. They're like, hey, everybody's a cousin. Mm-hmm. They found the one drunk cousin, and just kind of made their way to the family reunion. Like, he got all the plates because he was like, we ain't got no food, so I'm getting all of the plates.
Was he the only hungry one? Because nobody else was eating like that. Lucky was like, I am starving here. What was going on? Justice didn't eat. Isha didn't eat. Chicago didn't eat.
Isha was drinking. And this is where we see, I guess, much of her alcohol problem. Because when they first got in the truck, she has, some apple juice or some type of juice, and poured some gin in it. And then she has Chicago drinking. She's like, no, drink some more. So he does. And she pours more gin
Yeah.
in it. And then it's like she finishes the rest of the bottle by herself.
Yeah.
And then we notice that this is an issue. Like she's drinking this whole entire trip.
Yeah. And it's gin, like they first stop at that
Gin and
gas
juice.
station. They stop at that gas station, and that's the first thing she's looking for. Old boy is like, give me a 40, but that this isn't, it's like
This
I'm
ain't
drinking
South
because
Central.
I'm relaxing. I'm not drinking because I have to.
I was gonna say they ain't no 40s because this ain't South Central.
That too, he had to settle for that Miller Lite, like she said. But for Isha, it feels more like a necessity. Like I need this drink. I need to relax.
And they didn't go into why. Like, is she dealing with like a depression, or is she? Because Isha seemed more, I don't know if fun is the right word or free spirit, because when Justice was talking to her about dating Chicago, she was like, girl, he's a mailman. He'll make no money. And Isha was like, girl, have fun. Who cares? And so Isha doesn't take life seriously. She's about having fun and just drinking. But I wish it would have gotten deeper into like what's going on with Isha.
Yeah. I didn't understand what they thought a lot of money was, because I always thought being a mailman was like a good job.
It's like men, they wanted these high, I don't know if value is the right word, but men with high positions, like a doctor or a lawyer. Does he drive, a Benz? What kind of car does he even have a car? It gave me that type of vibe. It's like,
I think mailman, because I know like even a professor of mine was saying, like, he doesn't mean to be like a conspiracy theorist, but he's like, one of the reasons why Trump was going after the Postal Service is because that's where you had a lot of Black people working. I think that the Postal Service is just, it feels very Black middle class. So to
government
me,
job.
It's a good, stable government job. Especially at that point, it wasn't going anywhere because there was no email. Like, maybe there was email.
You needed
at the time,
the mail.
But
you needed the mail.
There was no.
People was paying their bills in person.
Absolutely. So you needed the mailman. So that was a good, stable gig. And those jobs were not easy to come by. Like, I think you had to take a test to be like, you just couldn't go and be a mailman or a mail person.
But later, towards the end of the movie, what's the owner of the hair salon's name?
Jessie.
When she was talking to Isha about men, she was like, girl, you don't fight with men, you get their credit card. And she was like, girl, Chicago don't get no credit card. And I don't think Lucky probably had a credit card either.
Maybe not, but also like Lucky had a kid and he was, like you said,
no, I get that, but I'm saying,
and Chicago was not on Lucky's level as far as the job was concerned.
True. Well, Lucky was in the union. My point is, I feel like the tone of this movie when it comes to what is a good man is like a man that has an Amex and can take you shopping and can buy you things and drives a nice car. Those stereotypical materialistic versions. And we see it all the time. Even now. Like, people talk about, oh, my man needs to have this. You need to have this amount of money in the bank. If not, you can't talk to me. It gave me that type of vibe. Like, we're not out here looking for love. We're not trying to build with them. We need a man that has money and a job and a house that he can pay for on his own.
Yeah. I mean, Chicago did say he had an apartment, he got a car. He was handsome.
He dressed in yellow pants and purple shirts. So on this road trip, well, back up, we mentioned when when Justice gets into the mail truck, she realizes that this is the same Lucky from that she's been ignoring at the hair salon. She's like, girl, I do not want to get in this truck with him and drive all the way to Oakland. So they kind of have a rough start because he already thinks she's mean. She thinks he's just trying to holler at her. It's like she's not trying to be in no car with him or no truck with him for the next 5+ hours.
And maybe she senses his energy. So maybe she was right to like be ignoring his ass, because when, you know, he stayed calling women bitches.
True.
He stayed doing that. So why I don't owe you shit if that's the type of energy you bring into me. But go ahead.
So we see the tension between Lucky and Justice. And then Chicago and Isha, it's like they're together, but then Isha says, girl, I plan on quitting Chicago. You know, I don't really like him like that. So it's like, how is this trip going to end up? Because you don't even like this man like that. Justice don't like Lucky like that. So it's a lot of tension, and it all ends up boiling out. At first, Lucky and Justice get into it, and Justice is like, you know what, get me out this truck. I will walk to Oakland, which is not realistic. Girl. So they have to Isha kind of has to coerce her to get back in the truck and finish the ride. And then later on, Isha and Chicago get fighting. So it's just, this is a horrible road trip.
Horrible. And you in that uncomfortable truck.
Exactly.
I know it's hot. I don't know why people got on jeans and long sleeve shirts.
Maybe it was cool. Like, we don't know what time of year it was.
Could have been.
Maybe driving up to, I know Oakland is pretty cool. It has
very
mild temperature.
Absolutely. Yeah. And also LA doesn't, I don't think it gets that humid heat that Florida or New Orleans or Houston, Georgia. One, I think it's interesting that her name is Justice and his name is Lucky. Lucky. I thought that was super cute. I also feel like there wasn't enough attention given to Justice's mental state. And I think that's not the fault of the film. It's not a problem. Like, it's not a flaw of the film, I guess is what I'm saying. But I feel like the same way with Bishop, the way that his mental instability wasn't being attended to because nobody had time to do that. And, you know, and everybody may have been scared to do it. I feel like with Justice, is anyone saying like, hey, sis, let's get this grief counseling going?
No, definitely not.
Exactly. So I feel like
not in 93.
There's not, in the way that Justice is concerned about Isha's drinking. And I feel like we're all like, yeah, Isha girl, you need to get it together. I think that a lot of people, Isha, Lucky in a way, also Jesse, they're concerned about her getting comfortable in the depression. Cause like, baby, how long we gonna stay here? And it's not just I'm not just talking about the clothes and how she carries herself, but I'm talking about the energy that she exudes here. You don't want to do anything. You're staying up in this house, crying in the mirror. What are we doing? Come on, like, please, like, we got to get out of this.
I feel like they were more concerned about her getting a man. If they were concerned about her well-being, it was like, girl, let's go get our nails done. Let's go to the beach. But it was like, girl, when you gonna get you a new man? Man, what you saying? Men, you need to learn how to let a man go and get the next one.
If I'm Justice's friend, I think one reason I want to see her with the new man is because we're in a space where we have already healed from this, or we are healing, because she is open to the option of dating somebody. I would want to see her with the man too. Maybe they want to see her with the man because they think that men fix things. I don't know,
Yes.
but I also think that there is something to, hey girl, like let's go and have some fun. As horrible as this sounds, like I know I work with some people, and these people are the people that I have in mind, they're men, and I'm like, man, he need a girlfriend. Jesus Christ, he need a girlfriend. Cause he just takes this job home, and he does, like, that's all he thinks about. So he's constantly in a bad mood. Maybe if he had a dang on girlfriend, like he would have somebody to be a
What about a
soundboard for that.
hobby? What if it's a hobby?
True. But I guess my thing is, like, you would have someone who's invested in your well-being. So you would have somebody, hopefully. I mean, I hope your partner, your romantic partner, is invested in you being straight. You know what I'm saying? But I guess that's what I'm thinking about. I guess what I'm trying to say is, I think that getting a man, that rhetoric doesn't have to be as disappointing as we're assuming it is. I don't think she needs a man, but I think that we need something to pull her out of this rut. I think it's counseling. I think it's therapy.
Yes. I would say more of a girls' night, and if they went to like a club together, and if there were men there, great. But I just don't like the idea of, let's get you a man. Like, no, we can go out, and if we see a man, okay, but that's not our main focus.
My focus is, I want to see you back in a relationship. That would be my focus. I only say that because I want you to get out of this habit that you falling in love is you betraying Markel, and you falling in love is going to end in your lover's demise. Like, if I saw someone get remarried, I'm like, I know that you believe in love. I know that you believe in partnership, and you're not going to be in this space where you think of love as just this negative thing. That's the route I'm coming from.
I thought the places they stopped were interesting. First, you have the Black family reunion, and then you have this African festival, and then you have a lot of scenes at the beach. So what do you think the significance of all those stops, or those specific stops, were?
Okay, so I'm gonna try to make this fast. One thing I like about Poetic Justice is it's like mainly one day. It's one day. Same thing with Do the Right Thing. Same thing with
one
Juice.
day.
One day, you know. With Juice and Do the Right Thing, we're in the same neighborhood over and over again, over and over again. And it seems like nothing changes. It's important that they're getting out of their same routine, all of them. You know, it makes sense that Justice kind of starts to fall in like with Lucky outside of LA. Because sometimes you need to get out of
your environment
to see something else that's possible. That's why the movie is important. Like, sometimes you have to see something else to know that there are other possibilities. That's why it was disappointing that they were watching those two white people, you know? So them just getting out of LA, going up to Oakland, but even when they are in the festival is outside, it's out in the open. They're at the beach, it's natural. When they're at the family reunion, it's a little park. They in the natural elements. They're not in man-made stuff. You know what I'm saying? I feel like that helps them, you know, like connect with a different aspect of themselves.
Well, Justice and Lucky kind of, like you said, fall alike at the beach, but then Isha and Chicago, they fight at the beach. So it's like all that serene water just is not calming for them. It's like two opposite things are going on at the beach.
Yeah. I mean, they don't like each other.
Oh no. It's like, why are you with them?
Why did you invite this girl when you know she has a drinking problem?
And why are you on this trip when you could have just dumped him and not go? Like, why are you waiting till we get back to LA to dump him?
Yeah.
Like, for what?
I thought it was interesting because I think this is before we get to the festival when Lucky is playing Khalil's music.
Oh, yes.
And Lucky and Chicago kind of like there's some tension there.
They get in the rift. Yeah.
Justice is like, I thought y'all was friends. What is going on? He's like, man, I just work with that nigga. So do you believe that they're friends or do you believe they're just work buddies?
I'm leaning more towards work buddies.
Work buddies who are cool and
that will hang out after work.
And if they hang out more and more, it's really going to blossom into
a significant
friendship.
They don't have a history.
Justice and Isha will be friends after this.
Oh, yeah.
Lucky and Chicago
are not
be friends after this. I was disappointed in Lucky when he did not stop his friend after he hit.
Yes, because even Justice was like, are you going to do something? And he was like, that's their business. What?
The film was doing something as it relates to holding men accountable with how they treat women. Because when Lucky threw Justice out of the truck, Isha was like, come on, like, check your friend. He was like, man, that's their business. They ain't in that. Like, mind my business. It's like, no, like, we need to be a little bit more comfortable with intervening here. You know, when Chicago and Isha are fighting, hey, you gonna step in? Like, clearly I can't take this man. Like, you can, and that's also your friend. Like, can you intervene? That's their business. You didn't intervene until he hit Justice.
Well, Justice kind of kicked Chicago and knocked him down, and then Chicago went and started hitting on Justice, and then that's when Lucky was like, okay, no, you're not gonna hit Justice.
Why he couldn't do that with Isha? It does seem like, you know, he don't want to fuck Isha. He don't want to be in relationship with Isha. He don't want to.
So it's not his concern.
She's not valuable to him, which was disappointing to me. So I was very disappointed in Lucky.
True. And Chicago for hitting Isha.
Oh, I've been done with Chicago when I saw him. Like, we gonna stay brushing his hair? Or I already know
yellow pants and that purple shirt. So they finally make it to Oakland.
Yeah.
Lucky stops at his cousin's house, and at first he can't find him. The door's open. He's like, what's going on? There's lots of people in the street. And then he sees his cousin Khalil on a stretcher. He's just been shot. And then Justice is trying to comfort him, but then he is like, no, it's your fault. If we didn't make all those stops, then I could have got here earlier and this would have never happened.
Mm-hmm.
Which I don't know what Lucky would have done, how he gonna stop a bullet, but I don't know. Maybe he feels like, well, I don't know, because we don't even know the circumstances around Khalil getting shot. Was it just a stray bullet? Was he a target? Like, we don't know what happened and if Lucky could have even made a difference.
And there's so much uncertainty about it, but there's also, the film is filled with so much aggression. Even in the salon, those women are about to fight. There's aggression between the two male hairstylists. You know, when Lucky sees the guys in the car and they're saying, we gonna get the dudes that got us, there's violence there. It seems like at any moment, even when the fight between the boyfriend of the baby mother, the three of them fighting, Lucky, Tone Loc, and the random dude, you know how left that could have went?
Exactly.
That could have went, well, it already went left, but do you know how really bad that could have gone with them two kids in that house? Thank God nothing happened to them kids. So there is always this, like, violence is this element that you just have to deal with, and you can dodge it as much as you can. But at most of the, like, unless, like, even at the family reunion, there was a fight because Chicago and, like, So at no
Well,
point,
Isha was flirting with another man.
Isha was flirting with another man, but we didn't have to fight. We didn't have to.
No, but Chicago he seems very ego driven,
Yeah. And what Justice says to her, like, girl, is you crazy? Don't you know Chicago will beat your ass? I'm like,
yeah.
Oh. So he done put his hands on her before? What's going on?
And that's like kind of okay, because she was like, girl, don't do that because you don't want to get hit. I'm like,
exactly.
I shouldn't get hit, period, but okay.
Just okay. And I'm like, now see what pissed me off about that? Lucky you got a problem with Justice's bad attitude. Chicago up here beating women.
Exactly.
Child, bye.
So Khalil ends up passing away. I've thought about this, how Lucky and Justice both experience a loved one passing away.
And both of them are surrounded by this great sadness all the time. Like, so we learned that Justice's mother commits suicide. Justice doesn't have family. And Lucky, he's doing that job. He's not happy with the job. His mother isn't the most doting person, and his girlfriend is doing hard drugs. No, his ex-girlfriend.
Well, his ex.
His child's mother is doing hard drugs. That is very difficult to deal with. That's a very difficult set of, and it's her mother. She's gonna see her mother again.
And back to the point when Jennifer Lewis, who plays Lucky's mom, when Lucky was telling her, I'm thinking about having Keisha stay with us. And the first thing she was like, well, are you going to take care of her? And I'm like,
horrible.
I get the sentiment, but I feel like this situation is different because her mother is on drugs. So it's like, okay, we need to kind of the first thing is get this girl out this environment. If we have to tag team, and be like, I pick her up from school, you drop her off. Like, we need to, this is not just
but she like, I'm done raising kids.
Yes, I said I get that if this was a normal, healthy co-parenting relationship, I understand. Listen, don't just leave Keisha here. You need to be an active dad. But in this case, it's a little bit more sensitive. It's like, girl, get your grandbaby.
Right.
Like, go get her.
You knew that girl. You knew that girl wasn't shit. Like, you should have been like, you need to have custody of this baby.
Exactly. And it seemed like, going back to that, it's like he kept threatening, like, oh, I'm gonna take my daughter. I'm like, if she's doing drugs, that kid is yours. Like, it's no, seriously, if this is not normally in situations, okay, kids are mostly with their mother. Mm-hmm. But if she's doing drugs, the kid is with you. Like,
because you could do a welfare check real quick. They're gonna test her for drugs and it's gonna come back positive. And that kid is definitely yours. So it can happen.
So I didn't understand why it seemed like this threat. I'm like, oh, I'm gonna take my daughter. Get her. Don't just like do it.
But like, probably because he is hoping that things go well, because I don't have the money for daycare. I don't have the ability to take care of this kid like this. Like, you do need a 2-parent household when it comes to like limited resources. Hell, to be quite honest, you need about a 6-person household to really like get on the good foot with just making sure that you have a healthy person. You're raising a healthy person.
But I feel like he is a lot better off than her. And she seemed like she was at least in kindergarten. So,
true.
She can go to school.
You got school, yeah, you're right.
Change your hours from 8 to 3.
All right.
Oh. So close up this movie, Lucky ends up getting Khalil's music equipment, and he was saying, I'm going to do something with it. Justice and Isha go to the hair show. It seems successful and everything. Jesse, I guess, has this conversation to Isha and Justice about men and no good men, and she's saying, well, in the beginning of the movie, she was saying how Justice don't know how to pick a good man, and she was very materialistic, as you mentioned. So we don't know what happens to Chicago. When did Chicago fall off?
They left Chicago out there because after the fight
at the beach.
Well, it's like they're on a cliff, like, because when that's what was making me nervous. I'm like, Isha's standing so close to the edge of this cliff. I'm so scared. He better not push her. Even though I've already seen the film, like I already know what's gonna happen, but I'm like, could you just get away from the edge?
When Lucky got to the post office in Oakland, they were like, "Oh, I thought there was two of you," and then so I'm like, so. When did Chicago fall off?
Because they left them.
True.
They left them. You ain't, what bus you gonna find right there? Like, you ain't gonna make it at the same time as him,
So then Chicago falls off. Lucky finishes the post office job. The girls go to the hair show. They all end up back in LA later on. And Lucky stops by the hair salon with his little girl Keisha, apologizes to Justice, and Justice does Keisha's hair. So what happens next? What happens with Lucky and Justice?
You know what I'm saying? They move into Justice's house.
Okay. Does Keisha go with them?
Oh yeah. He's got custody.
So Justice is a stepmama?
Justice is a stepmama.
Does Lucky pursue his music?
Absolutely. He becomes sure do. We gonna have a good ending, because I was depressed this whole time. I was like, man, can I get a win here?
What about Isha?
Making me sad. She's in rehab. She needed a good detox, and now she's selling waist beads at the flea market. Thanks for listening. We'll be back next week with another film and more opinions. Leave a review and tell us what you'd like for us to watch. And let's keep the convo going on Instagram. You can find us at Curry Gumbo. Be well. Happy watching. Love y'all. Bye.